Listen, if you've played MLB The Show, you know that there are probably a bunch of mistakes that you make or your friends make, anyone that you watch, simple mistakes that people make throughout the length of a ball game that, you know, when you're making a World Series push that you absolutely cannot make. So today we're going to talk about 10 of those mistakes that people make all the time, and we're going to talk about how you can fix those in case you happen to fall in one of those. Try to hone in on these specific issues that I see a lot of people struggle with consistently. So yeah, 10 quick tips. Let's get right into it. What's going on, YouTube? I appreciate you all stopping by. In case you are brand new and you have not checked out the channel already, my name is Scann. I'm all about MLB The Show tips. We're trying to go full send on trying to give you guys direction to improve as players, whether you're just starting or you're trying to become a top 50, 12-0 World Series, whatever the situation is. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you happen to learn something new in this video, make sure to like it. Also, we do stream on Twitch 3 to 5 times a week, so if you have any specific questions you want to ask, if you want to watch some gameplay, maybe learn something that way, make sure to check the Twitch channel down below. Link will be down there, and I would love to see your beautiful faces over there. And other than that, let's just get right into the video, shall we? So 10 quick mistakes that I see people make all the time in a ranked game or BR, anything. So let's get right into it. The first mistake that I see all the time is people using starters out of the bullpen way too much. Obviously, they recently updated pitching stamina, so when you use a starting pitcher in a game, they lose half of their stamina that they had remaining from that point on. So that means that when you're pitching in a game, and you use a starter for an inning, they're going to be below 50% energy, meaning that you probably have to wait a few games for them to start. At least I think that's still the case. Might have to check up on that. But basically, when you're using pitchers in a game, the best way to remedy this is to, first of all, designate innings for your bullpen. So your setup man, your closers should be used in the late games of as many games as you can. Those should be your best 3 relievers. Then everyone else you should try to use earlier in the game. Maybe you have a long reliever that has more stamina you can use early in the game, like that Charlie Morton card. Maybe you have just a reliever you're not as good with that you only want to use in the start of the game. Don't only use starters out of pen. I play people that use like 4 or 5 starters out of games before, and it just absolutely kills their rotation. It just is not the strategy. I mean, I think if you have a starter pitch terribly and you have a starter already with full energy, it's a good option to have because you could have them pitch a few more innings than normal. But the real issue is here, people go to it far too much sometimes, and you know, it's going to have an issue for you when you're trying to make a World Series push. Number 2, the number 2 mistake I see people make all the time is using hitters only because they have a high overall. This is an issue that I see a lot of people who are newer to the game struggle with, and they'll try someone new and they'll struggle at the plate with him, and they'll assume like, oh, I'll just turn around with him. Oh, he'll get better for me soon. But you have to realize sometimes that you're going to not be as good with higher overall players. It just happens. Not everyone's swing fits you in this game. And if you have a player that's a lower overall that you're already good with and you're trying to make a World Series push, use the bat that you enjoy the most, that you succeed the most with at the plate. Also, defense matters in this game. If you can get a good hitter that's a good defender for you, then that is a plus. But if you struggle with a hitter that's a good defender, you should use that player with less defense if you can, just to get that bat in there. For example, at the start of the year, I had 99 Reggie Jackson from the XP Reward Path. I used him for a bit, and if you look at his stats here, he was definitely solid for me at the start of the year. 336 batting average is pretty good for me, but the issue for him is the slugging percentage. He only slugged 734. So what I ended up doing was replacing him. I put him on the bench as a pinch hitter, and I put Live Series Christian Yelich out there at the time, which, as you can tell, I hit far better with. Obviously, he's a slightly worse fielder than Reggie Jackson. He's not as good versus lefties, but I crushed with him no matter what, so I put him out there. When you're new to the game and you don't have that many options on your team, don't only use someone because they're a high overall. Get the better bat in there, and trust me, you will play a lot better. I promise you that. The 4th mistake that I see the most in this game is from people that are struggling at the plate, but they take that first strike in the most inopportune ways ever. So what I mean by that is a lot of people, when they're playing ranked, and they're trying to work a pitch count, which is a good strategy when you're hitting. If they're telling themselves, I'm going to take this for a strike, and they put the controller down, take that fastball down the middle, for example, big, okay, you got your strike, and now you're locking in at an 0-1 count. And there's a time and a place for taking that first strike, but some people do it far too often, and they do it wrong. They put their controller down and say, I'm taking all the way. And when you're hitting, one of the best things you can do is ambush your opponent first pitch. Sometimes the easiest pitch in an at-bat you get is that first pitch. And taking that first strike is just not something you want to do all the time. You should be ready to swing at that first pitch, even if you are trying to be patient. Just you want to look for your pitch. If it's not your pitch first strike, then you take it. If they locate it, then why swing at it? But that should be your mentality at the plate when you're first starting off in that bat. The fourth mistake I see all the time is the chasing breaking balls out of the zone. And obviously this is not an easy solution for many. When you're first starting this game, if you're playing on a TV and you're trying to catch up to a fastball, it's really difficult to slow down for those breaking balls, the curveballs, the sliders, the slurves, the changeups. But when you're hitting, you got to try to work on your approach with that. You got to try to get good at recognizing those breaking balls and realizing as soon as possible, hey, this is a curveball. They're probably going to throw it below the zone. Let me take it. And if you want more practice and recommendations how you can improve on that, make sure to check out the hitting tips video I posted a few weeks back. We went through a bunch of training that you can do to practice recognizing pitches. You could give yourself little practice routines to try to recognize those breaking balls and the fastballs and everything. So I 100% recommend checking that out if you have not already. Our fifth mistake that I see all the time is not paying attention to your opponent's pitch sequence. So basically what this is about is when you could consistently throw a pitch at the exact same spot all game and your opponent misses it all game. So for example, when I'm pitching on the mound, I'll be playing ranked seasons with Corey Kluber on the mound. Know someone is going to be late on that sinker every single time. I will almost exclusively throw that sinker inside. Try to get them late on it, break a bat, get them to miss it. And just in general, I can get away with that because my opponents don't adjust to that. They're not sitting inside on the sinker. They don't ever hit it. And if there's anything you can do in this game to improve, especially in ranked seasons, is reading into your opponent's pitch sequence. And a lot of people don't pay attention to it. They just wait for a fastball right down the middle. They don't think about like, hey, what if he throws me a fastball inside like he did last at bat? And you absolutely have to hone in on that. Focus on the pitch patterns you get for each batter and also for your entire team, because they also approach different batters in similar ways. Like mistake number 6, this is one that you see a lot with people who are newer to the game, is base running. A lot of people make base running mistakes that absolutely punish them in this game. And what I'm meaning is those people that steal all the time, those people that try to bunt all the time, the people that take that extra base attempt as much as possible. And really, when you're playing this game, you have to be diligent with your base running, because if you are second guessing on the base paths, you'll get absolutely killed in MLB 20. So what I recommend here is just think about the unwritten rules of baseball. I mean, we're not talking about 3-0 fastballs. Okay, Padres, to never make the first or third out at third base in the game. So that means that you should never make an out at third base to start the inning or to end the inning. Meaning that, think about things like that. Try to not run yourself out of the game. Also, another point with this, if you know the players that hit a ground ball to shortstop with a runner on second, and then try to send that runner from second to third to bait a throw out of you, and then they go back to second, it does not work this year. It just does not play well, and if you're playing a solid player, they're going to kill you for it 9 times out of 10. Mistake number 7 I see the most often is not having that pinch runner option on their bench. A lot of people, I play in ranked seasons, when you're in a close game, especially if you don't score many runs in a game, it is a big deal to have a pinch running option on your bench. If you have a catcher who just hits a single late game, and you have a catcher like Posada here with 34 speed, having that option to pinch run on the bench is a big deal that could give you an advantage late game. And if you're someone that struggles with offense and you know you're in close games all the time, you need to do this. Don't just put 5 bats on your bench. It's not bad to do that, but you normally don't use 5 pinch hitters in a game. The most I normally use is 3. So if you're looking for options on your bench, if you aren't starting the 99 Craig Biggio, he's a perfect option on your bench if you don't have him at catcher or anywhere else, because he plays catcher, he plays at second base, and he plays in left and center field. So say you have a slow running outfielder, you could put him out there. If you have a slow running catcher, you could have him replace him. So when you're playing ranked seasons, you need to have an option like this on your bench with position eligibilities where you can play them in as many positions as possible. And also you need someone that can replace that person if you can't do that. So if I did not have Craig Biggio here, for example, I would probably put this Lou Brock card because he has 99 speed, steal, and he's a solid hitter too. He's got good hitting attributes. And then for a backup catcher, I would put Joe Torre as a backup catcher because he's got pretty good hitting attributes, and also he can play first and third. So these are the kind of things you have to focus when constructing your team in ranked. Number 8 is a pretty, I would say, controversial one, and it's talking about players choosing stadiums. Some people just choose the wrong stadiums. And personally, I like to choose stadiums that I know I can hit well in. I know that play smoothly. I would recommend minor league stadiums. In case you don't know, major league stadiums seem to have some weird lag to them. Major league stadiums and classic stadiums have way more fans in them. So I think the PS4s kind of struggle to process that. So it adds this weird little input lag sometimes where you hit X and it takes a millisecond longer for your swing to go through, for example. So I recommend if you're trying to improve, you should try to play at minor league stadiums, but that's not the biggest deal. What this is really about is choosing a stadium that fits you as a player and your strategy, because you normally know what you're better at or worse at in this game. Are you a better hitter or are you a better pitcher? So let's just go through some examples here. If you are a good hitter, you want to play at Ship It Stadium here. It's got high elevation, not too crazy dimensions, and you can really get rewarded on good swings here. The downside of Ship It is that a lot of bad swings also are hit for homers here. So when you're choosing Ship It, you might want to choose it just to try to out-hit your opponent because it's not easy to pitch here. If you're looking for stadiums that are good pitching stadiums, Barnes Canyon Stadium, not that crazy elevation here. It's just, it's not like Laughing Mountain Stadium, if you know that park, where it's got that higher elevation, but it has the exact same dimensions. You see, it's 420 feet to center. So a lot of good swings that aren't really perfects will stay in the park here. So if you're a good pitcher, you might want to choose a park like this where you can out-pitch your opponents, limit them, and then you hopefully get enough runs to score. Pay attention to this when you're choosing stadiums. Try to choose a stadium that fits your strategy well. Mistake number 9. This is one that I see a lot of times in ranked is keeping pitchers in too long and not mound visiting. So basically, in case you did not know, the mound visit you can use in this game gives your pitcher a tiny bit of confidence back. So we'll say you give up a couple singles in an inning and you want to keep your pitcher in through the length of that inning. There's usually no harm in mound visiting them to try to get a little bit of confidence back because they will lose that confidence after those couple of hits. And in case you don't know, lower confidence means you're going to give up. You're going to throw more mistake pitches. You'll probably give up more hits, anything like that. So you want to try to keep your confidence with your pitcher as high as possible for the length of a game. And mound visiting is something I never see people do enough in close games. They'll keep a pitcher in and don't think about it. You absolutely have to mound visit in close games when you have a pitcher trying to get through the game. With this mistake, people also keep pitchers in too long. What people will do is keep a starting pitcher in for a game, usually until they lose the lead or anything like that. And if you have a fully energized bullpen, you should be willing to go to them as soon as possible. One of the best ways to outplay your opponent is give them as many different pitchers to adapt to as possible. This is why when I play ranked, mistake number 10, which is probably the number 1 mistake that I see people do who struggle at hitting, is falling behind the fastball. Listen, in MLB The Show, pitch speeds aren't crazy high, especially if you're on all-star difficulty. It's not the hardest to catch up to a fastball. But the number 1 tip I recommend for people for hitting is to not let a fastball beat you. You should never be late on a fastball if you want to become a good player at MLB The Show. So what that means is when you're at the plate and you're deciding how to approach your opponent, sit dead right on that fastball. Look at the feedback on the bottom left. See what your timing is. If you're late on a fastball, take note of that and try to recognize it earlier and swing earlier. Some people don't pay attention to that, and they don't adjust at the plate if they're late on fastballs consistently. Meaning someone like Aroldis Chapman here will just absolutely punish you with his 100-mile-per-hour fastballs. So when you're playing this game, you can't let the fastballs beat you. We talked about that in our hitting tips video. It's something I always focus on. If you look at the best players in the game, they win all the time because they actually crush those fastballs. They're never late on them. They're either early or well-timed on them. And if they're late, it's only minimal. That is absolutely the most important mistake that people need to fix in this game. And I think that's going to be about it for this video. One of the best things you can do to improve as players is start to realize what you're doing wrong and trying to improve on it right away. Last year, I was just making World Series my first time. And this year, I went 12-0. I've gotten close to top 50. I've made World Series every season. I'm not trying to flex. I'm just trying to make a point here. And I've improved a lot over the last year, and that's because I'm trying to realize what I'm doing wrong and trying to focus on improving that. It's not easy to succeed in this game. Not everyone can be good at this game, but try your best, put in the effort, and I believe in you. Listen, I believe in you. You can make that World Series. Go 12-0. If I can do it, anyone can. I believe in you. Go get them wins, people. Deuces. That is really all that matters. Now we got the bases juiced for Larry Walker. Oh, Lord. Let's go, Larry. Larry Walker, grand slam. Let's go. The offense is rolling still. 5-0 in the first. Larry Legend